Put on your flame retardant safety equipment. I'm coming in hot today. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Thank you, Garrett. What would you do if this was your teacher? Yesterday was the first day of school out in Bug Tussle, and I've got 4 kids that are in a public school, and I think public school out in the middle of nowhere has got to be different than it is in the big city here, because we don't have any of these problems that I'm about to play for you. Of course, my sister works at the school district. There's only like 12 teachers because there's only like 15 kids. I'm kidding. I'm exaggerating. But it's a much smaller school. It's a town that is completely submerged in traditional values. So we don't have this going on where my kids go to school. But what would you do if this was your teacher, or somebody listening right now has gone through this situation? How did you handle it? I introduce you to Chase, who the second you look at Chase, before I even start the video, before I even start the audio, you can look and tell that's a woman. It's a woman with a short haircut. It's a woman who's wearing almost the same shirt I'm wearing now. I'm wearing like a golf polo, a couple buttons at the top. Nice collar. It's almost the same color. Got about the same haircut as me too. But it's a woman, and you can tell, and that's fine. You don't have to wear makeup, whatever, but let me play the audio.
My name is Chase, and I am a butch, non-binary high school teacher, and this is my plan for back to school this year. The first thing I'm doing this year is I'm just going by Chase. No Mrs., Mr., Mix, like just Chase. I did it last year, and it went great, and none of my students cared at all. None of the administration cared at all. So I'm planning on just doing that again this year. Something I'm doing this upcoming year that I didn't do last year is I think I'm just going to send an introduction email to all of my students and all of their parents, just saying my name, my pronouns, a little bit about my background and why it's important to me. I know that not every single parent is going to understand, and not every single parent is going to care or be respectful, but I think my job as a teacher is to educate people, and if that means I get to educate the parents too, awesome. The third thing I'm doing this year is a pronoun lesson. I'm doing it day 1. I just tell my students that I'm non-binary. I use they, them pronouns, and that what non-binary means to me is that I'm not really a boy or a girl. I'm kind of just doing my own thing, and a lot of them really get it. My students last year would correct each other when they messed up my pronouns, so I'm kind of just hoping for the same thing this year. I am excited for back to school.
800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Now, I'm incredibly close to this issue for many reasons. Number one, I have 4 kids in school, and they're all in public school. I don't make enough money to put them in private school, and Miss Parker has to work, so homeschool is not really on the table there. But another reason I'm close to this is because my sister's a teacher. I have 2 aunts that are currently teachers. My grandmother, when I was growing up, was a teacher at the school where I went. I had her for reading in 7th grade. I have teachers all around my orbit. Miss Parker, briefly for a couple of years there, was a teacher. I Miss Parker. I don't have to do that every time. On top of that, I have a former coworker who I did a show with for years, and then we were still working at the same station for 3 years before that. Afterwards, we worked on different side projects. So for about 10, 11 years, I worked with a guy who's trans. He lived his day as a man, and he got his jollies at night dressing up as a woman. And, you know, if you want to look it up, it's called autogynephilia. That was his specific brand of gender dysphoria. So I'm kind of close to it in that respect, and I saw what he had to go through. I see the tightrope that these people walk. You know, if once you come out, you can't ever take that back. I get that. Can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle. On top of that, one of my previous roommates, in fact, when I met Miss Parker, I was living with a lesbian couple, one of which is a teacher. She was back then. She still is today, works at a public school. And I know that she doesn't go to school and have to tell everyone about her sex life. I know that she doesn't go to school and, well, I've got to send a notice out to all the parents explaining what I do with my undercarriage in my free time. It never crossed her mind, actually. So I know you can be a member of the LGBT community and not have to go through all this. I know it doesn't have to be something that's front and center. I know you don't have to put posters on the wall. I know you don't have to have secret sex talks with underage children behind their parents' back about sexual things. So my question is, how would you handle this? Now, let me be as open-minded and generous as I possibly can. There are some people out there who wouldn't have a problem with this. And if that's the way you want your kids raised, and that's the schools you want them to go to, with government officials having secret sex talks with an 8-year-old at school, let's get rid of public schools. Everyone can choose your own school. And if you want to send your kid to the rainbow school, that's cool. If I want to send my kid to the traditional value school where they don't talk about butt stuff with 9-year-olds, that's cool too. But someone's gone through this, and I want to hear your story. How did you handle this? Did you say something to the teacher? Did you say something to the administration? Did you get them fired? Did you try to get them fired and they rebuffed you? Because I haven't had to cross this bridge, and I'm not even sure what I would do. Again, I'm probably more open-minded than most people you're going to hear on talk radio, just because I've been through it and I've been so close to it. But even for me, someone who has been adjacent to where my best friends have been going through similar situations, I don't get this at all. I don't get how Chase thinks this is okay. And as we're walking into the first week of school here, someone listening right now is bumping into this. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, a local representative has a bill that he tried a couple years ago, and he's proposing it again. Jared Patterson wants to move back the start of school until after Labor Day. We'll debate that next on The James Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, it's back to school time. We're just kicking school in the teeth real quick. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. In the last segment, I was playing you the audio from public school teacher. I go by Chase. I'm non-binary, and I'm going to have secret talks with your children behind the parents' back about all things sexual. Wow. Okay, so this is what they're learning. This is what they're learning in public schools. Now, I've been trying to make the case on the James Show for years that we need to end this terrible experiment of public schools. It hasn't worked. All we've done is gotten dumber. It's costed more and more money. We just keep throwing money at the problem. All we're doing is funding a bunch of political activists, most of whom disagree with your political ideology to begin with. Everything from pre-K through college, through Title IX, through graduate school. It has just been basically an unemployment program for Team Blue activists is what it's been. And now you send your kids through public school. They don't learn history. They don't learn math. They don't read the classics. They learn civil rights, racism, slavery, gay stuff, non-binary pronouns. But can they read or write? This is a viral video that just got passed around yesterday. And I am told this is a teacher in Texas, although there's no confirmation in this video. And the guy he just looks like the black version of me. He looks like he's about my age, about my height, about my build. We're both wearing reading glasses. We both have quite a bit of gray in the bottom of our beard. So this is just pretty much the black version of James Parker over here, except he's been a teacher, and not just a teacher. He's gotten multiple degrees. He's got a master's degree in teaching. And he's still on the front lines trying to teach kids here in Texas and staying in his own community, trying to help lift his own people up. And he broke down a couple days ago after the first day of school here in Texas with this.
I literally broke down in the middle of the class because I'm teaching seniors. These kids are leaving high school and going to college, hopefully, after they finish. We had two paragraphs to read, one sentence complete to write. I gave them the sentence stems. I basically completed the sentence for them in the model. These are 17 and 18-year-old kids, and they couldn't fill in 4 words. 4 words. I gave them the scenario. We annotated together. I gave them the answers before we even had the problem. And they couldn't do it. I don't know. I simply don't know where the problem is. This is only day 2. And I have seniors who simply cannot read and seniors who cannot write.
All right. How bad does it have to be before we declare public schools a failure? And how ridiculous is it that media outlets were reporting on a swastika that was spray painted on the frontage road in the middle of nowhere, Mesquite, that no one saw, that no one was offended by, that no one was hurt by? Like that's some sort of great offense to our minority communities. I think it's a much bigger deal that they're taking thousands and thousands of dollars from you every year in property taxes and then putting your kids in a government, just a prepaid government monopoly, forcing your kids into this school teaching them absolutely nothing. Just wasting all of that time, all that resources, wasting all of these childhoods and cranking out kids who can't read and write. People need to be going to jail. Because the first question you got to ask is, how do they get to the 12th grade if they can't read and write? How do they get to high school if they can't read and write? Because the entire public school system's a fraud. That's why. The entire thing is an absolute fraud. If I went to Blue Ribbon Roofing and I was like, give me a roof. And I paid them thousands of dollars, and they got up there and they hammered away for 13 years straight. And when they were done, there still wasn't a roof. You could sue them for fraud. In fact, someone would probably go to jail. The whole public school system is a fraud. It has to end. And what are we sacrificing for this? This is where our property taxes come from. This is why we don't actually ever own our property. This is why we're forever renters to our landlord, big government. It's so we can be forced to pay millions out of our backside to this failed, fraudulent public school system. No, thank you. And that's not a one-off. It was last week I was playing this is a professor, Jason Gibson, and even out of the public school, when you go to college, do they know anything? Are they being taught anything? Are they demonstrating any academic capabilities whatsoever?
32 of my 35 students between two classes failed a portion of their midterm because they all used AI to generate their entire response. And apparently they didn't proofread it. Let me show y'all how I picked up on it. So this discussion post was a portion of my students' midterm, and if you look, it looks normal, right? But if you copy and paste this and look closely, in white ink, I hid, placed the word Madagascar somewhere in the response in a way that makes no sense. But if you uncopy and paste it, you can't see it. So if Madagascar was somewhere in my student's response in a way that did not make sense, I knew that they copied and pasted the entire thing and just threw it in AI. And oh my God, you would be amazed at the bizarre usage of the word Madagascar that I saw in these students' assignments. First and foremost, Madagascar has nothing to do with the Industrial Revolution. Second, it was more than obvious that they didn't even go back and reread these responses. So yeah, 32 out of 35 students failed a portion of their midterm, and that's how. So students, if you're going to use AI to generate the entire response, at least reread it. At least try to ensure that it makes a little bit of sense. Try to put it in your own words, something.
All right, now let's talk about solutions here, because I don't like either party's solutions. Of course, Democrats just want to throw more money at it. Heck, they want to expand it to 3-year-olds and 2-year-olds. They want to pay off everyone's student loan. Free college for everyone. Yes, let's get as many people. Let's spend as much money on this failed program as possible, which is dumb. Republicans, not much better. They pretty much just want to maintain the status quo. The only movement I have is Jared Patterson wanting to start after Labor Day.
Okay, you remember perhaps when we used to start the school year after Labor Day. Depends on your generation.
Hey, I won't put myself out. But now a Texas lawmaker is renewing his push to move the start of the school year back to September. Texas State Rep Jared Patterson of Denton County is working on the Save Our Summer Act. Not only would classes start in September, Patterson thinks classes should end by late May or June. Hold on, there's a lot of instruction I got to get done now. Patterson says he has bipartisan support backing the move that will protect students and help the power grid.
We are simply talking about protecting the health and welfare of our students, our teachers, our athletes, our band members, our cheerleaders from the sweltering heat every year in August. And you know, it's also to help our electricity grid.
Well, I get what you're trying to say here, and I'm sure you're doing this with the best of intentions, but we are not delicate flowers. Our kids are not Fabergé eggs. The reason we used to start after Labor Day is not because we couldn't handle the hot heat. It's because we were out in the hot heat picking crops in the direct sunlight, doing hard labor all damn day without a hydration break every 15 minutes or without someone checking in on us like helicopter parents. No. We weren't going to school until Labor Day because it was too dangerous outside. It was because we were outside doing manual labor. Little 12-year-old kids. 800-288-9227. Our school is all messed up, and no one's even trying to fix it. We'll keep talking about this next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, homeowners, James Parker here for Rhino Shield. Meanwhile, it is going to get above 100 degrees for like 12 of the next 13 days. And this is when Rhino Shield shines for two reasons. Number one, if you had Rhino Shield on your home already, you could be saving money on your energy bill because it has an insulation factor. It also just blocks out 90% of UV sun rays. So that doesn't even start to heat up your house. It just, nope, you go that way. But the genius is, this is the part of the weather cycle where your paint's going to be cracking and flaking and peeling. Not Rhino Shield. It'll keep your home looking just as beautiful as the day it gets put on. So there's no excuse to not get Rhino Shield. It's 8 to 10 times thicker than paint, has 25-year transferable warranty. Paint doesn't. You can finance it and put it on a low monthly payment. Paint can't do that either. So you don't paint your house, coat your home. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Well, it's back to school season on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and I've played you three different teachers here over the first couple of segments of the James Show. First, I was introducing you to Chase, who we're not going to play the whole thing, but the first 10 seconds of it will give you an idea what's going on here.
My name is Chase, and I am a butch non-binary high school teacher.
All right, that's enough of that. Then I was playing you a couple other teachers who were lamenting the fact that their students, one guy who was teaching seniors, couldn't read or write. Another guy was in college and had no confirmation that his kids could read or write because 32 out of 35 of them cheated on an essay question with an AI answer. And so he doesn't even know if 32 out of 35 of his kids know anything, and he's in college. And so the part I find so disappointing on everyone else's show, but of course this one's awesome, is that everyone's trying to make changes to make the public school system better. Is anyone besides me wanting to just get rid of the public school system? We didn't always have it. And before we had public schools, we had better educational attainment for not just high school kids and college kids, but the average adult was smarter than they are now. Think about it. Before we had public schools, when we were just like frontiersmen and we only had like the 52 books that our parents had on the shelf at home. Even in the little town of Gonzales in 1835, when Santa Anna came to take the cannon back, they knew to quote who? King Leonidas from Sparta at the Battle of Thermopylae? Hell, half of your kids have seen 300 and they can't answer that. So no. Is anyone else on board with me? Can we just get rid of public schools? How bad would it have to be before you have to get rid of public schools? Because we're already graduating kids that can't read and write. I don't know how it gets worse than that. Let's go to Wendy in Dallas. You're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Yes, hi. I wanted to speak in regard to the high school teacher. And though I feel the pain of everybody's pointing the fingers on who's to blame here in public education, really we don't talk enough about the responsibility of parents and guardians. If you've got a kid...
Wait, hang on. What show are you listening to? Because I haven't put the blame on anybody, and I agree with you. It is not the teacher's fault. It's not the administration's fault. It's absolutely the parents' fault. So I probably should have done a better job with that, because you're coming in like you're disagreeing with me. Oh, no, I agree with all that. Wendy, please continue.
I agree with you on the public school system. But what I don't hear enough of and I don't read enough about is the responsibility in the home to make sure that your child can read or write. That's what's frustrating to me, because we keep, like you said, pouring and pouring more money at a problem that is getting worse. So I also don't think the general public has the stomach for reinventing the system. I mean, I think it speaks for itself that in a few school districts around the country that you have astute parents, you have the resources and the time to pour into your kids. But I think generally speaking, what I see is a complete apathy on the people who are responsible for raising their children. And if you don't have reading and writing at home, it will not be refined. It will not get improved once they go to the classroom. And then I think, speaking to the college professor, why are these kids even in college? That's another story for another time. But we're putting kids into college who, as they said, can't read, can't write. So that's really, I agree with what you're saying, and it's very frustrating as a person who's a mother who's raised two children, who is very involved in their education. And I just find it appalling that we don't take enough time to point the finger at those who are raising the children.
Well, Wendy, you're going to love this show, because that's exactly what I think. It's pretty much down to the parents, period, point blank, end of story. Because we've even gone through some of the math here. The highest performing public school district in North Texas, Highland Park. The worst one, Lake Worth. Highland Park pays its average teacher less than Lake Worth, so it's not a matter of money. The student-to-teacher ratio is higher at Highland Park than it is at Lake Worth, so it's not like we don't have enough teachers. No, it's all about the parents. Wendy's absolutely right. So all this stuff, well, we just need a public school system and they'll do better. No, if they have crappy parents, they're going to do terrible. Why drag down the rest of our kids with them? Matt in Fort Worth, you're on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP.
Hey, I was just going to say, she kind of took part of my thunder, but on the other hand, I think it depends on the school district also, because, my kids are doing great. They're learning things that I had no idea existed when I was in school. And I hear these stories about these, maybe they're inner city schools or whatever it may be that are failing, but over in the Keller district, we seem to be doing great. And I don't know if that's because of the families that live there, or if it's caring teachers, or what the difference is.
Well, you know damn well what it is, Matt. Over in Keller, they have dads. That seems to be the two. Listen, the two determining factors that I have gleaned from the James Show, and you're not going to hear this analysis from anyone else, because I don't know why everyone is so married to this public school failure. But the two determining factors on how the school district scores on aptitude tests, number one, is dads. How many of the kids are born out of wedlock and being raised by their biological parents? Number two is how many students are illegal immigrants. Because the students, the school districts that score the worst aren't like, a lot of people would think, well, if it's dads, then wouldn't the black school districts do worse than all other school districts because they have the highest out of wedlock birth rate? No, actually the school district that do the worst are the ones that have 60% of their students speak English as a second language.
Well, what about us who, possibly can't afford to do a private school? What is the option? Because
look, Matt, I'm kind of out of time, but I'll tell you what I've seen when I lived in New Orleans for a few years there, for a long time, a little over a decade. No one sends their kids to public school, and they're on an island. They're surrounded by swamps on three sides, and a river, swamp, and a lake. So there's not like an easily accessible public school or suburban situation. Everyone just goes to private school. That's all. Everyone, and it's a lot cheaper than here because, you have 100,000 kids that are going through the private school system. Oh no, we can do it. And we know we can do it because we did it before we had public schools, and we did it when we were a lot less prosperous than we are now. And we got better results. 800-288-9227. Coming up next on The James Show, Dallas City Councilman Kara Mendelson is going to come in and talk about this joke of a budget and bond proposal at Dallas City Hall. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Well, let's get a look at how the sausage is made in Dallas City Hall. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Being joined by my best friend in Dallas City Council, because my only friend, Dallas City Council, Karen Mendelson. You've been hot on Twitter, and you're not really happy with the way the budget talks are going with the city of Dallas. Assume the guy listening to us has no idea what's going on. Can you give him the 1 to 2 minute summary? So talk about this big budget deficit that's going on. I mean, we're in the middle of furloughs and whatnot, and you would think that they would be making some cuts, but instead of cuts, they're proposing new bonds. So let's talk about the bonds. Are they going to show up on our ballot in November? By the way, it is a monumental event in the history of politics when a politician tells you to vote against a bond. You have Does it come with strings attached? I mean, sometimes money has strings. But we have money for the Dallas Wings, the WNBA practice facility. You know, what's with the mounted police? They're not more important. Oh yeah, because that's federal money and all that stuff. Right. Right. Okay. All right. Well, that's a great update. Thank you very much for fighting the good fight. It sounds like you're in the minority up there, but keep us updated, Kara. Thank you very much. All right. Coming up next, I have a couple callers who want to weigh in on the teacher topic because we were discussing that for the first week of school here. 800 288 9227. And also coming up in the next hour, you're going to hear about our Muslim foot baths already installed in Dallas Fort Worth Airport. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And it's always a fun reaction when I recommend getting rid of all public schools. I'm James Parker. It's The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP, because it's a thought that for many people, they haven't even considered it. And for the people who are so inured into the matrix that they can't even imagine a life without it, many, for the first time, they respond kind of angry. Like, that's a dumb idea. Now, I've also heard from a lot of people who, I was playing some teachers earlier, if that was my teacher, I'd pull my kid out of there so fast. Listen, what I was looking for is response from people who've actually gone through this. If you're just joining us, I want to introduce you to Chase. My kids went back to school this week. Most kids in North Texas going back either last week, this week, or next week. And so we're facing this level of topics again. What would you do if this was your teacher?
My name is Chase, and I am a butch non-binary high school teacher, and this is my plan for back to school this year. The first thing I'm doing this year is I'm just going by Chase. No Mrs., Mr., Mix, like just Chase. And I did it last year and it went great. And none of my students cared at all. None of the administration cared at all. So I'm planning on just doing that again this year. Something I'm doing this upcoming year that I didn't do last year is I think I'm just going to send an introduction email to all of my students and all of their parents, just saying my name, my pronouns, a little bit about my background and why it's important to me.
You know where that's going. And then we're comparing that to the teachers who actually care. Here's Jason Gibson. 32 of his 35 students cheated with AI.
32 of my 35 students between two classes failed a portion of their midterm because they all used AI to generate their entire response.
That was in college. And I was playing also another Texas teacher who was crying because he has a new class of seniors that came in. Most of them can't read and write. That's in Texas. So we're just getting some responses from your neighbors here. I did that backwards. Kendall has been waiting in Thornsdale. You're next up on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call, James. I am a product of work study. I started UT in 72. Chevron hired me because they went to UT. I worked in New Orleans for Chevron, and mission accomplished. And my mother had a full scholarship to Rice and no money for school clothes in 1940. There was only 3 valedictorians. And what they did at UT was give us CPA exams. And I never cheated. And when I sat for the CPA review, the professors were outsmarting us. So they graded us 10, 20, 40. And you get your intelligence from your DNA and your environment. So I come from a very smart family and work ethic. So I graduated from 35. Now, here's what I'm going to say to you. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. But if you want to help people in real estate, interview Robert Torres with NACA, NACA.com. And they do loans 0 down. I've only done real estate 41 plus years, and I actually sponsor millionaires. So I've been up in Fort Worth. I'm Austin.
Hang on, let me stop you. Kendall, what does that have to do with teachers and public schools?
Well, I'm just giving you a deal about housing. People are lazy. You have to understand that if you come from a smart family like I do, the teachers would give you grades.
I don't know if your family's that smart. You can't stay on topic.
Yeah, I can. You know what? I'll tell you, my brother has a national merit winner, Princeton.
We'll just go on to Steve, right? Yeah, Kendall, your family's very smart. We got it. Y'all are so smart. Steve in Springtown, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Well, good afternoon. So I will tell you, it's a shame what we have done to our children and the fact that they cannot read and write. Yes, the parents need to be involved, but I was an SRO in the 1990s, the late 90s, and saw in the schools them pulling children out of class, those that could not pass I think it was TEKS, the state test. That's what our teachers are stuck with nowadays, is teaching a test. And so many of these children fall behind, and the basic 3 R's are not there anymore.
Yeah, so we had the teams and then the toss when I was here in Texas public schools. But listen, I just can't stress enough how important the parents are. And you know, the first caller when I opened up the phone lines was really giving me hell, but she was right. The state test, I guess that's a problem, but my kids could read before they got to school. Like, it doesn't matter how good or bad the curriculum is or whether or not there's a state test. If your parents want you to learn to read, they're going to make sure you learn how to read. And the, we can point fingers and like, well, maybe we should just change this testing curriculum. No, there's nothing that's going to fix bad parents. And so what you need to point the finger at is these 12th graders that can't read or write. I guess it's kind of the school's fault, but really, wouldn't you look at the parents first and be like, hey, how have you tolerated an illiterate kid for 18 straight years? How have you been sitting next to this kid, spending more time with them than their teachers do, and you don't teach them to read? You don't teach them anything above just the most basic communication grunts that they're getting away with. And look, I do want to get rid of all public schools. I think it's a stain on education. I think it was an experiment that was tried with the best of intentions, but has been a huge embarrassing failure. But ultimately, the blame isn't necessarily for the public schools. The blame is for the parents. The public schools just isn't going to fix what's wrong with the parents. And I'm not promising a utopia. I'm not saying if we get rid of public schools, then all of these dumb kids are going to magically be smart, but we will get better results. Like, I'm not saying if we get rid of all social programs, that'll get rid of homeless people. But we have social programs and we have homeless people, right? So we clearly aren't solving the problem with all this money thrown at it from tax dollars. Same thing with schools. Yes, we have public schools. We still have dumb kids that can't read and write. Can we get rid of public schools? Yeah, but some kids aren't going to be able to read and write. Yeah, that's the situation now, bud. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, since they fight against Jesus and the 10 Commandments and crosses and the Bible and the public schools because separation of church and state, does it make any sense to allow Muslim foot baths in DFW Airport? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Have you ever been in the airport and you're like, damn it, I need to wash my feet? No, this is not a thing here. Is Tercios there? Forgot to ask. Okay, because I got this story from Carlos Tercios, Dallas Express, who's joining us right now. And, you know, I find this to be kind of a head scratcher here because the report is that they're in Terminal D. Have they already installed Muslim foot baths, or that's a proposal, or that's a project, or that's been under construction? What is the status on foot baths at DFW Airport, Carlos? Yeah, so this speaks to a larger issue we have going on here, where the Muslims community seems to be taking the airport as their own territory. The foot bath, yeah. Well, also the same thing we pointed out. What was that last week when we were talking about the airport ride share scam here, where the people who seem to be so concerned about keeping separation of church and state. We can't have anything religious in any kind of public building whatsoever. You know, whether it's a 10 Commandments at the courthouse or on the wall of a schoolroom. They have no concern about a public facility like DFW accommodating specifically Muslim needs. Well, some people are starting to push back. I saw that there's a recall effort for the mayor of McKinney and 3 council members, but really the reaction to this needs to be something that's done out of DC, because stopping this is an immigration issue and the local authorities don't handle that at all. Carlos Tercios, great work yet again. You can find more of his stuff, DallasExpress.com, and follow him on social media. He does a lot of great X posts. Carlos Tercios, Turcios. All right, coming up next on the James Show, a couple of callers want to weigh in on my public school debate, and also an email I'm going to address where I've just had it. You know, it's the first week of school. I think we would do better if we just got rid of public schools altogether. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, you're just going to hear me respond to some of the response on the public school topic that started off the show. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Welcome to the James Show because, look, I have 4 kids who are in public schools, so I'm really attuned to this. Some of you have kids in public schools. Some of you have grandkids in public schools. And I just wish we would really sit down and as a society have the debate on whether or not we should even have public schools. Is this really better than the alternative? And a lot of people can't even imagine what life is like without public schools because that's all we've known. When I was born, I went to a public school. We've never seen what it looked like. Well, can the results possibly be worse than what they are now? You have teachers that are grooming kids and then bragging about it. And I promise I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here. But when you have a teacher that's like, hey, I'm going to have a talk about my sexual proclivities with my middle school students.
My name is Chase, and I am a butch, non-binary high school teacher, and this is my plan for back to school this year.
Stop. She's going to have a talk with all the kids and then maybe send a note home to their parents. And then you have other teachers who are finding out that their seniors can't read and write, and they're crying about it. Now, here is an email that is a joke, but very important because it's true. Ken in Lone Oak. I love smart jokes. He said it's no way we can get rid of public schools. It's too important for the most important class they teach, football. He's right. The number one impediment to us getting rid of public schools is probably football and how much we love it. Because the other dastardly thing that it's going to be almost impossible to separate, when I tell you we need to get the government out of education, that means college too. And for some weird mutation that our founding fathers would probably find completely abhorrent, we have merged the minor league of professional football with our college system to where they are inextricably linked. And so somehow Texas Longhorns, for some people, it's an education system. For some people, it's their minor league football. It's how they get to the NFL. And for most people that go out and they buy a Texas Longhorn shirt or whatever merchandise, they're not doing it because of their fantastic work with graphing calculators and Bunsen burners. It's probably because they're football fans or some sports fans. So really, that's a joke, Ken and Lone Oak, but that was a great joke because the number one thing that's probably stopping my dream of getting government out of education is football. And I love it too, so I don't have an answer for that. Max in Frisco, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
Hey, James, disagree with you about a lot of things, but yeah, you're on spot with this. And you know, the last thing I heard when you were talking about this was it goes back to the parents, but it's more than that. It's systemic, right? Why are these parents allowing it? Because they vote for the whack jobs that are making legislation that run the schools. And why are the parents doing that? Because they were educated by the schools. I mean, this goes back, decades, if not a century or more. It's a systemic problem because we live in a society that's interested in money and selfishness and power instead of actually being good, being moral, the Judeo-Christian.
Yeah, well, I don't like that word systemic here because that almost implies that if we just tweak the system, we'll get rid of this. Because
no, systemic means something different. Systemic means it's a system-wide problem. The system needs to be revamped. The system needs to be retaken over by people with the right fundamental point of view, right? And when I say right, I mean objectively right. You're talking about objective reality, the way God created the world, and that gets into everything, the whole way our society's gone.
Yeah, I don't think it matters who's in charge or what their ideological view is. If you're going to have more than 70% of your kids born out of wedlock and they're going to be concentrated in a community and those are all going to be kids who go to school together, you're going to have a failed school system.
Right. But it all starts way before that. It's these are the branches of the tree.
And I love
the roots of the tree.
I love talking about getting to the roots of the problem because so much of what we talk about and when we deal with the education system is, how do you treat the symptoms? But I love your talk about the root cause because what is the root cause? Well, people are having kids out of wedlock. So what's the root cause of that? Well, people aren't waiting till they get married to have kids. So what's the root cause of that? Promiscuity is being encouraged like it's the coolest thing in the world in every movie and every popular music and every pop culture reference you have. They're just encouraging promiscuity. They're not getting married is something boring and fuddy-duddy, and you're losing your friends to marriage. Oh, I lost another man. He got married, lost another one of my friends. We'll never see him again. Or if you get pregnant, oh, your life is over. You can't have it all. You can't have your career. You can't go have brunch and pay $18 for eggs on a Sunday instead of sleeping in or going to church. Yeah, it's all those things. Cynthia in Midlothian. You're on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP.
Hello, I'm a 30-year public school teacher, but I'm retired. Taught high school and middle school English, and I agree. I don't think that we should have public education. I don't think it should be available to everyone. It ought to be available to those that really want it, and otherwise you don't come. Our problem with the parents, and I agree with you 1,000% about that. And I was a very effective teacher, and I loved teaching, and my students always did well, and they liked my classes. So I'm not down on education. I love teaching, and I love the students. And I was successful, so I'm not an angry person about this. I am angry, though, that we're not serving like we should. And I think that your solution would be nice. I do. I do think we need education.
Yes.
We've got parents who are products of our system, the same one we're railing against now, so they don't know how to help their children. And they don't even really realize that they're not getting educated anymore because they weren't. So we've almost let it go too long. The other thing I want to say about education is just my last teaching assignment before I retired was middle school. And we have, like when you talk about government kind of running the program, it has become so lockstep that our curriculum resource people tell us what we're going to teach and when we're going to teach it and how we're going to teach it, rather than saying, here's what your kids need to know by the end of the year, be sure they get there. Instead, they're telling us how to, what to, every day, down to even some of the programs tell you how many minutes to spend on each part.
You know, I find that so insulting because, Cynthia, you went through years of schooling to learn how to teach these kids. And then after that, you have applied that knowledge for decades. And then some little pencil neck geek in Austin is going to rewrite some rules to tell you how to do your job better, even though they've never been a teacher for one day in their life.
Oh, absolutely that. And here's the other thing. Where comes the read the room? Where comes the, okay, I'm presenting this to the class. I've only got so many minutes to do it, but I'm looking around and I can see a lot of faces that are saying, we need to spend a little more time on this. And I'm not really being an effective teacher if I move on, but that's what they're asking us to do. Here's what I want to tell you.
Well, 30 seconds.
Okay, real good. Okay. These students that I had this last time, we were doing this 6 weeks, this 6 weeks, this 6 weeks. This is what you do. This is what you do. This is what you do. We did not get to reading a novel until the last 6 weeks. That was the 6 weeks when the kids got engaged. They loved the novels. They came in. They wanted to read. They wanted to talk. They wanted to learn. We're not pushing the reading throughout the year.
Love it, Cynthia. Also, hey, parents, are you pushing reading to your kids? Coming up next, you're going to get an update on the military helicopter that crashed in Central Texas. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, we had ourselves a terrible tragedy in Texas yesterday. I'm James Parker. This is the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. My next guest coming on, Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb, military veteran, talking about the crash that happened not too far from, was it on Fort Hood or close to Fort Hood, that left 2 military members dead? Do I have my details correct thus far, Darren? Well, so these things happen whenever you have a military with millions of people and hundreds of thousands of vehicles, and people are being trained on these very complex, difficult skills. Accidents are going to happen. We think this is just another accident that happened, or anybody suspecting anything foul? We're talking with retired Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb about the crash of the helicopter in Central Texas that killed 2 service members. Now, do we know if it hit anything in the ground, or was this in a clear area of nothing? All right. Well, thank you very much, Darren Gobb. I appreciate you breaking some of this down for us. Just sad day all around, but I guess these things happen. If you're going to have a military, you're going to have some accidents here and there. And I hope that's all it was just an accident. Thank you very much, Darren Gobb. Appreciate it. All right, coming up, Guns N' Roses World Tour is coming to Globe Life Field on September 9th. Get tickets and information at livenation.com. And you can listen to the WBAP morning show tomorrow morning. They're going to be giving away a pair of tickets to see Guns N' Roses coming up September 9th. Coming up next on the James Show, I have a little bit of an update on what was our top story yesterday. There was some graffiti. Someone spray painted a swastika and Watt Power on frontage road over in Mesquite. And the very institution that the local media turned to bring you analysis about that got indicted just hours after they were interviewed about the swastika being spray painted in the middle of nowhere Mesquite. Oh, it's delicious, and you're going to love hearing every second of it. Indictments for the Southern Poverty Law Center were announced, and there was an arrest made this morning. So I'll get you all caught up on that. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker, and you're listening to The James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, we have a fun little update on what's probably a hate crime hoax here in Dallas. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I started off the show with this yesterday, so chances are you didn't get to hear it when I did it the first time, but I can get you all caught up super quick here. We go to WFAA on the story because, look, we're not even sure if this is real, by the way. I just want to go ahead and throw that out there. I'm not sure if this is a real hate crime. I'm not sure if this was really done by people who believe in white power, because it has been your observation, it has been my observation, that for so many of these racial symbols or spray paintings or graffitis or nooses, a good chunk of them, if not most of them, have turned out to be hoaxes. So you're right to be suspicious of this, but let's just see what evidence we got. Here's the report from WFAA yesterday.
In the middle of this large road in Mesquite, hate speech spray painted down the center, promoting white supremacy. Wording and historically hateful symbols sprawling down northbound I-635 East Frontage Road. After an anonymous caller tipped off our newsroom, we arrived in Mesquite, immediately met with 5 racist messages. We called the city, who rushed this truck to the area to verify what we said we were witnessing. Their team sending us a statement in response, reading, quote, "The city of Mesquite is disappointed to learn the hateful messaging spray painted along a state highway in our community. It is unfortunate that anyone would choose to express themselves in this manner. Because this is a Texas Department of Transportation road, the area is under TxDOT's jurisdiction, and we are working with them to address this unacceptable act," end quote.
They're trying to psychologically intimidate people, and they really feel emboldened right now.
That's Jeff Tischhauser, senior research analyst with Southern Poverty Law Center. Their team working in partnership with communities to dismantle white supremacy.
It's just this false sense of superiority. Nonetheless, they use that false sense and do a lot of damage in our communities.
According to 2024 census data, Mesquite's population is black by majority. And according to officials, if those responsible for this incident were found and charged, it could be anything from vandalism to a hate crime. In Mesquite, I'm Erin Heft.
Wow, so almost everything in that report was wrong. Mesquite is not a majority black. It's not a plurality black. It's a plurality Hispanic. Blacks are 26.6% of the population as of 2024. But no one saw that. No one was offended by that. No one was intimidated by that. No one would even be aware it existed had not an anonymous tip. And the anonymous tip came to the media outlet. That's interesting. You mean the anonymous tip didn't go to the police? You mean they didn't want the police to discover it? They wanted the cops to discover it. Who thinks that this was a legit hate crime, and who thinks this was a hoax? And if you don't have proper skepticism of the SPLC, well, perhaps I should remind you why you should have proper skepticism of the Southern Poverty Law Center, because that's what I started my show with yesterday. And then this morning there was an arrest by the former chief financial officer of the Southern Poverty Law Center, the very people who they turn to help root out hate crime or hate groups. No. They don't root out and dismantle hate groups. They prop them up, they fund them, and then they give them all the promotion in the world. You've heard more about the KKK from the Southern Poverty Law Center than without them. In fact, you wouldn't even hear, there wouldn't have even been a Charlottesville death without the Southern Poverty Law Center's involvement. Anyway, here's the update from Fox News.
A former official with one of America's most prominent civil rights organizations indicted, accused of helping funnel more than $1 million to informants within a white supremacist group, one of whom she was in a relationship with. The DOJ says the ex-Southern Poverty Law Center CFO defrauded donors unaware they were paying people inside groups the SPLC claimed to root out.
Oh, wait, there was some new information in there. They were in a relationship? So that's not a small detail either. I'm not just making fun of her because, I fell in love with the Klansman. Sounds like a really dumb Netflix show. But in this one, that kind of disproves the point of no. We actually hate these people, but we were just paying them, these disgusting, racist, horrible human beings, because we needed an informant. That's right. It helps us dismantle them to give them $1.2 million. That's how you dismantle the KKK. You give them $1.2 million. Oh, yeah, and then you also have sex with them? All right, so you can throw that out the window. This wasn't just, well, we were just trying to infiltrate them. You weren't trying to infiltrate them. I mean, infiltrate a body cavity maybe. But you also heard, or you didn't hear in there was no N-word in the spray painting. There was nothing. They didn't read the 5 statements because it really wasn't that offensive. White power was the most offensive thing they said. Well, actually, kill all non-whites, which sounds fake. No one talks like that. Makes me think it's fake. But however, white power was painted twice. Is white power bad? Because Latina power t-shirts were sold at the Smithsonian until earlier this year. In fact, we had the clip from Brandon Gilt now a month ago on Capitol Hill.
It's appropriate for the Smithsonian Institution to sell Latina power paraphernalia, hats, mugs, other things that say Latina power.
I believe that the merchandise our store sells.
I'm asking you if it's appropriate.
Yeah, you're not going to get a good answer out of her. But the Smithsonian, a government institution, can sell Latina power shirts. But if you go spray paint it on some road that no one's ever going to see, in the frontage road of 635, white power, that is somehow so offensive. We got to call the Southern Poverty Law Center. We got to call the cops. We got to have the local news. They got to make it a top story. They got to give it 90 seconds worth of airtime. Spare me. But literally, the Southern Poverty Law Center, we just learned from this case, and this came out this morning, literally in bed. The CFO was doing it. They had an adult relationship with a Klansman. Here's Greg Jarrett, the legal analyst on Fox News this morning.
Yeah, the attorney is right. She enjoys the presumption of innocence. This is nothing new. Charging that the accusations are all politically motivated by the Trump administration. And yeah, I mean, you can almost envision the argument here. Well, in order to infiltrate white supremacist organizations, we have to insert informants. They have to be paid. The problem for the defendant here is that she was enjoying the fruits of her own money from her employer and using shell companies to send it to accounts that she shared with the informant. So, I don't know how you get out of that. It's going to be a tough one, Griff.
So that's a hell of an update. The Southern Poverty Law Center went from promoting and funding the Klansmen to promoting, funding, and doing Klansmen. Yeah, good job fighting hate groups there by sleeping with them and giving them millions of dollars. Yeah, I wish you'd come fight me like that. I mean, not really, I'm married, but you get it. Coming up next, Donovan Lewis from The Invasion on our sister station, The Ticket, is going to have a football season preview for the Cowboys. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, it's finally time for football season again. I'm James Parker. You're listening to The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And I am not a diehard fan. If we're going to be pulling a 0-17 season, I'm not going to sit around for all of that. However, I think we have reason to be a little more optimistic this year than last year. I mean, I guess technically the defense statistically can't be worse. The offense is okay. So to give you a little more depth on this, Donovan Lewis coming back on from the world's most dangerous midday show, The Invasion, on our sister station, The Ticket. So Donovan, I mean, if you had to handicap the Cowboys, is there reasons to be excited for this season? Well, here's the question I have as a casual Cowboys fan for my entire life. I don't know who the starting running back is right now. Oh, good. Well, it also feels like part of our woes were out of our control because you can't plan for injuries. And so you have Deron Bland, who is an interception machine, out with injuries. DeMarvion Overshawn, who is awesome for the 4 games a year that he's not injured. You know, how can we help that? Well, look, I tell my audience, if you turn off WBAP, you're only allowed to listen to The Ticket. And so when I sneak over there, the conversation I'm sort of interested in is, in hindsight, is the Micah Parsons trade turning out to be a good deal? I was. We're talking with Donovan Lewis from The Invasion on our sister station, The Ticket, talking about the Cowboys season preview here. What would you say is our biggest hole, our biggest position of concern on the Cowboys? Donovan Lewis, what does the rest of our division look like? You know, because the Eagles have been consistently good lately. Are they going to be a big problem again? And are we going to have much problem with New York and Washington? Will we at least make the playoffs? Mm-hmm. All right, this is Donovan Lewis from The Ticket. Congratulations on another good ratings book, by the way. Save some listeners for the rest of us, all right? All right, coming up, we had a shooting in Fort Worth. And what is the deal with people who get so upset in traffic? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. What is the deal with road rage? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Welcome to the big show where we had the report here this morning. I think a lady lost her life because someone got upset in traffic and shot her. Is this the right soundbite here? Is this?
Hey, man, is that Freedom Rock? Yeah, man. Well, turn it up, man.
All right, that wasn't the right soundbite. Here's WFAA.
Right now, we are learning more about a deadly shooting in Fort Worth. Thank you for joining us this midday. I'm Morgan Young. Our Chris Sadeghi is live near Interstate 20 at Grenmurray Road, where an apparent road rage shooting happened just hours ago. Chris, what are you learning from police?
Well, Morgan, and it remains that way. All the eastbound lanes of I-20 remain shut down, as they have been for most of the morning, for what appears to be a very tragic and senseless reason. Fort Worth police say that around 6:30 this morning, they received a call about a shooting on the highway. When they arrived, they found a car crashed underneath a bridge here at Trail Lake Drive and found a woman inside the car with a gunshot wound. They tried to give first aid here on the scene, but were unable to save her life. Police say witnesses reported to them seeing another driver fire gunshots at her car in what appears to be a deadly case of road rage. That other driver fled the scene, according to witnesses, after the shooting. Police did not release any information to us regarding a suspect description or a vehicle description or what may have led up to the shooting, but they are still investigating and certainly hope to find this person.
This is a part of human behavior I find absolutely fascinating. And part of the reason is because I don't get it. I try and get it because, naturally speaking, I don't have road rage. If someone cuts me off, I'm like, oh, well, that was really close. I guess he's not paying attention. But I also go around with the self-awareness that quite often I'm the one that's the a-hole. I'm the guy that didn't see the green light the second it turned green and someone had to honk at me. I'm the guy looking at my phone and it turns out I'm going 55 on the interstate sometimes, or I'm the guy that's looking at my phone and I change lanes when someone's in my blind spot. Sometimes I'm the bad guy. And so I realize that I'm not a perfect driver. Someone else makes mistakes. No harm, no foul. Just keep on going, buddy. Just moving on down the line. Got bigger fish to fry. No need to get upset. But I know these people. You may be one of these people. That when they're behind the wheels of a car, they're in a different state. They look like they're about to line up in the line of scrimmage. In an NFL game, they're like, oh, let's go, come on, yeah, come on, banging their head and whatnot, getting all mad, cussing at people and flipping people off and flipping their lights and honking their horn and speeding up, slowing. I don't have that gene, but I do recognize a lot of people do. And I've been friends with them, and I've tried to sort of to nail this down. I had one friend who was a road rage master. He was like the total black belt ninja in road rage. His name was Gage, Matt Gage. We called it Gage Rage. He would get real upset driving. He'd also get real upset after about 20 beers. But we didn't like to mix the two. But in the span that I worked with this guy for 2 years, he got in 3 road rage fights. And the one thing I noticed is the road rage fights were always with willing participants. If he got mad that someone cut him off, he would get next to him and he would flip him off. And a lot of times it would just be that. But if he flipped someone off and he flipped off someone with his temperament, if he flipped off one of his road rage, Gage Rage clones, well, then it was on. So you put these two people together. Yeah, you pull over and I'll kick your butt. Yeah, you go ahead and pull over, I'll kick your butt. And they pull over to the next gas station, they get in fights, and then they move on. It's the damnedest thing. You never got arrested for anything. But in this one, I don't think we had 2 willing participants. I think some guy got upset, and I don't know what would get you so upset that you need to take somebody's life on the road. But here's my theory, and tell me if this is too far off. I think some people feel the physiology of driving, and it's easy to forget because it feels like you're not moving. It feels like you're just sitting in a room and the world's moving around you. But just like when you're on a roller coaster, or if you're in an airplane, or you drive really fast in a car, your body knows that you're going really fast. And your body also knows that that's not really natural to the human condition, which means if you're going really fast and something causes you to come to an immediate stop, you're probably dead. So I think it must be tied to that. I think our animal instincts knows that what we're doing is inherently dangerous. In fact, it's the most dangerous thing we do every day. It's the most dangerous thing we do in our entire lives. Unless you've gone into a theater of war, it's the most dangerous thing you've done in your life is get on a freeway. And so I think people are in this sort of hyped up fight or flight moment where they think they're fighting for their lives, because I guess in some ways they kind of are. And that's the only way it makes sense to me, because the rest of it, I couldn't imagine being that mad. Of course, I've never been so mad at someone I wanted to shoot him anyway. But over getting cut off in traffic, or even if you had a fender bender, it's like, whatever, bro. This is a Toyota. I was almost done with this thing anyway. All right, coming up next on the James Show, there is some new demands from the illegal immigrant community where they don't think they should be deported. In fact, they think they should be getting a break if they've been here for years and years, and they should just be allowed to stay. But it's going to tick you off because the person making this argument can't even speak English after being here for 37 years, and I'll play it for you next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, James Parker here for QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is where you go when you have a lingering pain, but you don't want surgery. If you've just gotten the diagnosis, like, we're going to have to put you under the knife, we're going to have to cut you open, we're going to have to give you anesthetic, we're going to have to just saw on you, then stitch you back up, and then there's going to be a recovery time. And now, if you don't want all that, if you want to at least try to avoid surgery, if you want to try to avoid downtime, I recommend QC Kinetics. I've had the treatment. It's this new space-age technology. They take your body's own healing properties, concentrate, and put them exactly where it's needed. And it's done in a way that takes less than half an hour, and there is no downtime. That's one thing. I've got 4 kids. I've got a job. I've got a side hustle. I try and have a social life and friends here. I can't miss work. I can't be laid up in a hospital. I can't have surgery. I don't want downtime. I don't want stitches. I don't want all that recovery. QC Kinetics can give you relief without all that. It doesn't work for everyone, but the process to find out if it'll work for you doesn't cost you anything, and it starts with you giving them a phone call for the free consultation. Call QC Kinetics at 972-972-8610. Make a call for your pain-free future at QC Kinetics. 972-972-8610. Hey, let's talk about some immigration news real quick on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Remember, September 9th and 10th, the Republican midterm convention is going to be at the American Airlines Center, where I'm broadcasting right now. We are going to have a front row seat for the hottest political event of the election season, September 9th and 10th. Just turn it on WBAP those 2 days. All right, so we have a lady. Her name is Margarita Cielo Balbuena, and she is demanding not just amnesty for herself and her situation, but really for anyone who's been here at least 7 years. And she's also making some other demands here. And you may be a little incensed, like, you're an illegal immigrant. How dare you come here and make demands and tell us how we should treat you in a foreign country? Here's the part that a lot of people have seized on. This lady's been here since 1989, 37 years. And she still has to use a translator. She still can't make these statements in English. So we're supposed to bend over backwards to accommodate you when you come to our country illegally, but you don't even bother learning the language, and then you're going to come here and make demands? Dude, look, I'm not fluent in Spanish, but I learned half of Spanish, and I'm still in America just because there's so damn many Spanish speakers around me. And you can't learn English after being immersed in America for 37 years. You're not trying to assimilate. In fact, you're actively rejecting assimilation if you made it 37 years and you can't speak English. And what brain trust thought, hey, here's how we make our case. Let's go get someone who can't even speak English. That'll go over well with Middle America.
Les pido que sean campeones de un cambio a la ley de migración. Necesitamos una vía a la ciudadanía para todos quienes estamos presentes por 7 años o más en este país y que paren las redadas y la inmigración aterrorizada. Over.
I ask that you be champions of a change in the immigration laws. We need a path to citizenship for those of us that have been present at least 7 years in this country. We need a stop to these raids that immigration is using to terrorize Dover.
No es justo que yo esté en este país desde el 1989, pago mis impuestos, soy dueña de casa, dueña de negocio, que le doy trabajo a otras, que tengo a mis hijos, a mis nietos nacidos acá, que igual sufren el dolor físico y psicológico.
It is not just that someone like me, who has been in this country since 1989, who pays taxes, who is a homeowner, a business owner, who gives work to others, someone who has children and grandchildren who are born in this country, that I have to suffer the psychological and physical abuse.
Más humillación, que es un arresto violento, y a la vida de una cárcel de inmigración.
And that I have to also suffer the humiliation that is the violent arrest and detention in an immigration detention center.
Call Guinness, because I just found the world's biggest balls. Yeah, the injustice, the humiliation. Being arrested and having to go to jail. For what? Breaking our laws for 37 years? I'll tell you what's not just is you being able to come here and break the law every second of your existence since 1989, and then you get all pissy when we say we're going to enforce the law against you. No, you're not being treated unfairly. The rest of America has been untreated unfairly by tolerating your presence. The fact that we haven't enforced our laws against you for 37 years, when the rest of us, we get tickets, we get written up, we get all kinds of charges thrown at us for light and transient causes. God forbid if I drive around without an updated sticker for 2 months. Oh yeah, the law comes down on you and me hard. The law comes down on you and me getting letters from the IRS. They're all up your butt for everything. Every code inspection, every certificate of occupancy, every parking ticket, every parking boot. Oh yeah, it's just the humiliation and it's just not fair. Get out of here. Get out. Keep the thing. Go back to your house. Max and Sanger, you're on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP.
Yeah, I would just want to make a comment. This is the first time calling you guys that she's wrong. I mean, she's not supposed to be demanding anything. She needs to be grateful that she's here, that she got a job, that they actually, this beautiful country, that actually they give an opportunity to excel. I voted for Mr. Trump. and I'm 100% behind him. I've been here since 1985, September 28, 1985. That was my first day in the United States. In about 2 years, I learned how to make a conversation, how to ask questions, how to ask things in restaurants. You got to learn the language. Think about it. If you go, I don't know, to Europe, if you go to Mexico, you got to learn to speak the language over there so you can communicate.
Hell, I had to learn the language just so I could play soccer.
Thank you. Yeah.
In America. Now, Max, I'm not going to call ice on you or anything, but when you came here, was it legally?
No, sir. It was not. It was not legal. It was illegal. But I fall in love with this country, so I got married to a United States citizen, female.
Hey, no judgment, Max.
No. But she was she is a wonderful person. We have 4 kids right now because of my job. I work in every different states, and just she just want to call it quits.
But you're legal now.
Yes.
Okay.
2004,
Well, good.
Citizen.
Listen, I can't have you be deported. I need all the listeners I can get. All right, Max.
No. You will not. I mean, I'm like I say, I became a citizen in 2004. I saw the importance to become a citizen. You get better jobs. I've been working with this company for 26 years, and they treated me really, really good. My skills to speak Spanish and English, I'm helping right now. We're doing a project in Terminal D, and man, brother,
Are you building the foot baths? Is that what you're doing? Are you building the foot baths for the Muslims? Thank you very much. I love your story, Max and Sanger. I hate to cut you off. I just want to squeeze in one more call, and I only got like 1 minute. James and Waxahachie, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP.
So she's been here 37 years. How much taxes has she paid? How many anchor babies has she had? How much has she used the system against us?
Yeah, I don't know the questions to that. So the taxes, they like to say that the illegals pay taxes too, and I guess they do pay like sales tax and things that happen right there. But I mean, is it a net positive? Because if she had 4 kids and ran them all through the public school system, did she pay enough taxes to cover all of that cost through her property taxes or whatever? So some of them are a net gain to the taxpayers, but it's been mathed out that most of them are a net negative on the tax system. So now she came here illegally and then unjustly received the benefits of this country and everything our society has to offer for her children and grandchildren, all of which was unjust, all of which was unfair, all of which is unethical. And she's still not happy. I think we all got that. Great call to finish us off, James and Waxahachie. All right, that's going to do it for the James Show. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. And in the meantime, if you need more James Show action, I got a lot of good stuff on the podcast and a bunch of good video highlights on all the social medias, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the things. So go check it out there. I'm James Parker. This has been the James Show on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.